Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tina and you're watching Tina.fandoms. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, you might not have any idea what's going on, but I asked all of my Bookstagram followers to send me their unpopular opinions in my DMs and I posted on my story for them to do so, and today I'm just going to react to them. Okay, so before I dive into these unpopular opinions, I did post a couple of reactions to them on my book talk. I also did a live stream on Instagram and book talk, or on TikTok, sorry, where I talked about these unpopular opinions and I did react to them for you guys. But I am remaking it into an actual video because I do have a lot more that I didn't get to, plus a lot more that were sent to me after the live stream. So that's just what I'm going to do for you guys today. Bear with me because I might get heated. I'm not going to go into any major spoilers for any series or anything or any book. If I am talking about specific characters from a book, I will let you know what book it is. And maybe there might be some spoilers for ships, but I will let you guys know before I get to that unpopular opinion that there is one coming that's about a certain ship from a certain novel that if you don't want to get spoiled for, you guys could just skip it. We're going to start off with something slow because if you guys were here for the live stream, you know that as soon as I bring up like bookish characters like Carden or Reese, I will literally lose all of my patience and start freaking out, and it's way too early in the day to be doing this. So we're going to save those for a little bit later. So the first one I have is books with hardcover hit differently. And let me just say that I used to agree to this wholeheartedly. I used to be the type of person, if it wasn't in hardcover, I do not want that book. I would only put the hardcover books on my shelf. Like I would get books like The Mortal Instruments, for example, and where I couldn't get all of the books in hardcover, I can only get like the later few, and I had to get like the first three, like City of Bones, City of Ashes, and City of Glass in paperback at the bookstore. And if I wanted the hardcover, I would have to order them, but I never wanted to order them because I never wanted to wait for them. But at the same time, I didn't want the ugly paperbacks on my bookshelf, so I would buy them and then just put them like somewhere else. I wouldn't keep them on my bookshelf, which is so stupid looking back. Like I get it, aesthetics, but I don't agree with this anymore. Now, as long as the entire series is in the same cover, so if it's all paperback or all hardcover, I don't really care anymore. I used to like really care, but now I'm fine with it. Like I don't care that much anymore. Yes, they hit different because it's like you get the hardcover, you get the aesthetic book, you get that jacket, you can take that jacket off, but it's not like too much for me. It's not like I can't without hardcover books, you know? Y'all know what I mean? This is one from Shadowhunters. Jace from Shadowhunters is boring. Jace from Shadowhunters is boring. Please say it louder and let's spill this tea because Jace from Shadowhunters is boring. I wholeheartedly agree because if you put him by himself, if it was just Jace being compared to Jace, he wouldn't be that boring. But if you're comparing him to like the likes of Will Herondale or the likes of Julian Blackthorne, yeah, he kind of pales in comparison. What do we have about Jace that's interesting? We have the fact that he doesn't know his upbringing. Like, that's not a spoiler. Basically, the entirety of the books, you are trying to figure out, like, who is this Jace character? Where is he from? What's his story? And it's not that interesting. We have, like, the witty, like, the cheeky. We have those guys in other book characters that are so much better well-crafted, so we don't need Jace. Jace could have been so much better. Jace is the character, like, we've been with him for an entire series, plus the sequel series, we do get to see him. But there's nothing about him that sticks out as, like, BDC. There's nothing about him, or BDE. Yeah, nothing sticks about him that's BDE. Nothing where, unless, like, his, like, one-liners, like, he has that one line from the first book, City of Bones, I'm pretty sure it's the first book, where it says, Shadowhunters looking better in black than the widows of our enemies since 1, 2, 3, 4. That is a mouthful, but that is my favorite Jace Herondale line. But that's also, like, one of the only really memorable things I have of Jace. I don't really have many memories connected to him. Yeah, I used to love him. He used to be like my favorite guy character, but that was before I knew what flavor was. You know? Like, y'all know? So yeah, Jace is kind of boring. This next one is A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's not much of a spoiler, but Acotar is the worst Sarah J. Maas series and just not very good. Fight me. Throne of Glass. Okay, let's get into this for a moment here. Because A Court of Thorns and Roses, it's a series. Throne of Glass is not a series. It's two series put into one. You have... My earring just came off. I lost the back of my earrings. Where was I? Acotar is the worst. No, it's not. And let me tell you, sure, your opinion is valid. If you don't like Acotar that much, if you don't think that if it's not your favorite series, then yeah, of course, I respect your opinion, but I will fight you because Throne of Glass, Sarah J. Maas sat down, wrote Throne of Glass, and was like, I don't see where this is going. Let me write a completely different series, like a spin-off series, and just include those characters. Not even all of them. Let's include some of those characters. So, yes, Throne of Glass is very well crafted, but is it better crafted than A Court of Thorns and Roses, which gave us Lord Rhysand? No, it is not. Rhysand is the single most perfect book boyfriend ever. A Court of Thorns and Roses, you get such unique characters, and maybe they're not that unique, but like the family dynamic of like all of our like Night Court, and then you got these interesting characters like Amryn, which I haven't read a character like Amryn who's like a main character, even though she's not main, but you know what I mean, in a while. And I love those characters so much. I love the plot, especially A Court of Mist and Fury. That's my favorite book in the series. Might be yours, probably is. But no, I don't agree that Acotar is the worst Sarah J. Maas series. I feel like Elaine is more interesting than Feyre, and that's a whole completely different conversation. Aelin is 100 times more interesting to read about than Feyre. Feyre is not that interesting of a character, but overall, A Court of Thorns and Roses is very well crafted. Although, I've seen arguments that I guess I can agree with that in the last book, if you read it, I don't want to go into it, I'm not going to spoil anything, but some things happen. There's like out-of-body experiences, and the reader is kind of like shoved into these thoughts, and you're like, what's going on? And I guess that really took me out of ACOWAR, but that doesn't mean that I didn't thoroughly enjoy the book. I feel like, yeah, maybe it's a personal thing, okay? I can see all the arguments actually now that I think about it more, that Throne of Glass might be... Yeah, I'm just not going to comment on this anymore because my personal opinion is Acotar is better. Next one we have is I don't like An Enchantment of Ravens. This person does not like The Enchantment of Ravens, and this person does not like The Enchantment of Ravens. Here's my problem with this book. I'm not going to dive into it too much again. I'm not going to spoil anything, but Enchantment of Ravens... If you are a fan of A Court of Thorns and Roses, I will recommend you that book. I will sit down and I will tell you why you should read this book if you like A Court of Thorns and Roses. The Enchantment of Ravens is that book, but I don't like it. Let me tell you why. A Court of Thorns and Roses has similar themes, and it's about fae, it's about, season-based courts, it's about court politics, it's about, the human and the fae, but Enchantment of Ravens, the writing, a lot of people, the thing they love about that book is the writing style, because the writing is so flowery, it's so poetic, that it just really intrigues a lot of readers. Not me. I like books that have, simple writing, so I can breeze through it, so I can be reading the book and just stay in the world and not really think about the words I'm reading, but the story I'm reading about. But Enchantment of Ravens does not do that. I'm not saying it's not beautiful writing, it is beautiful writing, but it's too beautiful. Let's just say it's too beautiful. So I agree. Enchantment of Ravens, also the main guy character, I don't even remember his name anymore. He's not that interesting. I found him kind of weird. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I was not here for him. Next one we have Villains Deserve Better. Let's talk about this for a second, because President Snow does not deserve better. I'm trying to think of another character that's coming to mind. I'm only thinking about President Snow because of Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I literally cannot think of another villain right now that I think does not deserve better. And that's saying something, because I agree. I love morally gray characters, and one of my favorite arcs in YA novels is redemption arcs. I love a good flavored redemption arc, and that's the thesis. Tamlin could be so much more interesting of a character if Sarah J. Maas decides to give him a redemption arc. It'll make readers enjoy the story more, in my opinion. Yes, Tamlin was a toolbox. Yes, Tamlin is literal trash, but he could be good. He could be good and not just doing all the stuff that he did at the end of Acotar, which I'm not going to dive into, but if Tamlin, outside of his romance, outside of any feelings he has or anything that's not personal to him, if he gets a redemption arc based on his internal struggles and him coming to terms with who he was and trying to grow as a person, then I will wholeheartedly support this dude. Tamlin is one of those characters, as well as so many other books, so many other villains, like for example Sebastian from The Mortal Instruments. There's so many of those characters. There's good villains. I haven't read Six of Crows, but I've heard The Darkling is like this as well. Those types of characters, when they get redemption arcs and when they get when sometimes they win, but their motives are in the right place. Or let's say, okay, let me ask you this. This is a philosophical question. If you watch The Good Place, maybe you've heard of this question. But does the end justify the means, or does the means justify the end? Do your actions matter if the outcome is good? This is what we need to discuss in terms of villains. Because if a villain has good motives, or reasonable motives, or not even good motives, but motives I can get behind, I can understand them, and even though they do shitty things throughout the book, I'm still gonna root for them. Even if I don't want them to win and I want the heroes to win, I'm still gonna root for them and their plot. I'm not gonna immediately want them off the page, is what I'm saying. And I feel yeah, villains do deserve better. They do deserve more recognition at times if their arcs are done correctly. And I feel that more and more YA books are moving to the place where we are getting more, our YA villains are more structured. They're not just flat. Not anymore are we getting these really flat YA characters. Not that we're not seeing it at all, but it's just less and less. We used to have those villains that you just didn't understand the motives of. For example, let's go back into President Snow from the Hunger Games. Yes, he's the president. In his mind, we can tell that he needs the Hunger Games to happen, or he is instilling the Hunger Games to keep control over the people, to keep control over the districts. But we don't see his thought process, and of course it's because it's in Katniss's point of view that we don't. But I kind of understand where he's coming from, because as I grow up and I guess I start to analyze books better, I'm starting to realize, yeah, President Snow sucked, but he did have reasons behind his actions, right? He, in his head, what he was doing was right. It was the only right thing to do. The next one we have, some of y'all might come for me for this one. I can't stand Harry Potter. I find him really annoying, but I love the series. I have not read Harry Potter. I've seen the movies. I've also haven't read Percy Jackson. And even though there's a show coming out, which I'm really excited for, even though, like I said, have not read the books or seen the Percy Jackson movies. Harry Potter, actually, I can't even comment on this too much. Is Harry Potter boring? I feel a lot of people love him, but maybe I'm overestimating how much people love him. Let me know if you guys love the character of Harry Potter. I'm a Ravenclaw. That's all I know. I took the test. No, I have not read the books, but I did take the test. I am a Ravenclaw. Here's a conversation you guys are not ready for. Y'all want the tea because it's boiling hot. The Twilight books are actually pretty well written. Wholeheartedly agree. If you guys have been paying attention to my social media, maybe you know that I've been rereading Twilight recently. I've read Twilight, New Moon, and I'm about to start Eclipse sometime in the next few weeks. Yeah, sure, Bella sometimes does weird things, says weird things, and sometimes she's a little microaggressive and it just comes off as weird, but in general the books are written pretty good. I think Bella is an interesting character. There, I said it. She's this mundane girl who's just thrown into this vampire world and she doesn't really understand it, but she's a teenager and she's just going by her emotions. Agree. I agree. We won't dive into this too much because this is a whole video in and of itself, but I agree. The Twilight books are pretty well written. The next one. People over-sexualize Sarah J. Maas's characters. Are y'all ready for this conversation? I'm part of it. I do it all the time. Literally, every other video on my book talk is me over-sexualizing Reese. It's a thing. Is it because we're systematic garbage? No. Young women and young girls will always have like those fandoms, like that, like fangirl mentality. Not all of us, and of course boys are included in this as well. We personify our interests and what we look for in real life relationships into fictional characters. At least personally, that's the case for me. I want Reese. I want a guy that is recent. I want that. All of him. Like all of his flaws, his perfections, everything about him. I love him. Yes, it's over-sexualized, and yes, maybe we've turned it into a culture of over-sexualizing book characters. That's a whole discussion of itself, and that's not a good thing. Can we please talk about this? Because I just shriveled up. But like Rowan and Reese, like the last unpopular opinion is, this one's actually not from here. This was not sent to me, but it is one that we dived into on my live stream. The Mortal Instruments sucks. I'm waiting for y'all to come and attack me. The Mortal Instruments sucks. It didn't. I loved the Mortal Instruments, and then the movie happened, and I'm like, ooh, like some of these characters be cute. Like we got like our Jace, who was played by Jamie Kimball Bower, which I loved. I loved Lily Collins as Clary. And then they didn't go forward with the movies. And I'm like, you know what? I get it. Y'all can do better. Like, let me see this show. Let's see what y'all are talking about. Maybe it'll be good. And then the show came out, and I watched the first season, and I said, do you know what is garbage? Actual literal trash? The TV show. The TV show. Here, I am going to play in a moment the TikTok that I made yesterday about this whole thing. And that's exactly how I feel. I can't even like articulate how much I dislike the acting, the script. It's so cringy. I said hate, and I'm putting up with the 100 season 7, even though I know Jason Rotten Trash is not gonna do a good job with it. The Shadowhunters TV show made me hate the books. It made me hate the characters. Y'all want to know why I loved Jace, but I don't anymore, and I find him boring? It's because of the TV show Shadowhunters. Same thing for Clary. I did not dislike the character, but now I can't stand Clary. If Clary's on screen, if I see GIFs or memes of Clary on my timeline, I am not interested. I am pressing that not interested button. Do not show me memes of Clary and Jace, because the show, I am sorry to fans of Mortal Instruments on behalf of Freeform. What is that? What is it? I'm not even gonna dive too much into it because I feel like I've been talking for a very long time now. It's garbage. That's what it is. Garbage. I told y'all I would be going off. Anyway. That is it for today's video. Thank you for watching. If you are interested, here's my Instagram, my Twitter, and my TikTok. My Instagram is mostly bookish stuff. It is my bookstagram, and then my Twitter is like everything that I'm ever have, all the thoughts that I have, and I just poof it into the air. If you are interested in any of that. So thank you for watching. Leave a comment if you have any opinions on anything I've said, and we'll discuss this in the comment section because I am ready for this conversation. I am ready to go off. I will be posting on my story another one of these for you guys to send me all of your unpopular opinions, and I will react to them. Yeah, or just send me DMs, honestly. If you have any unpopular opinions and you don't see it on my story, like the option to send it to me, just DM me. I will include them in my next video, but I do want to make this a series on my channel, so I will be posting another video on my channel very, very soon. I just have to film it and edit it, but it's already planned. So that's not on that, and thank you for watching. Have a good one.